welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, sponsored by MotiV8 Training Management. This is a podcast where we talk to drivers and industry experts to help you maximize your performances on and off the track. Let's get started with today's show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 87 of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I am your host, Belinda Risley, and this week I'm joined by David Byrne. David is the founder of Excel Racing Australia race team. He's got previous experience competing in off-road racing, and he's currently the team principal of Michael Clementi Motorsports. Today we're going to have a discussion about getting started in Excel racing, the cost involved, as well as off-road racing as well, the cost involved, and about how to find a team, what you should be looking for as far as a car goes, and everything pretty much to get you started in the Hyundai Excel series. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. It is a quick one, so don't forget you can always listen to it faster, putting your speed up to 1.5. And of course, now team, it's always the right time to be seeking sponsorship, but more than ever with the 2021 race calendars coming earlier and earlier next year, as we missed out on a lot of race meetings this year. It's time to look into your sponsorship. So if you haven't already, we've got a free motorsport sponsorship Facebook group. Feel free to come over and join. The link will be in today's show notes. Otherwise, simply go to Facebook and type in Motorsport Sponsorship, and you'll see our free group where we go through tips. We have weekly Facebook Lives where we answer your questions around anything sponsorship, social media, public relations, branding, and sometimes we even throw some media tips and tricks and strategies. Anyway, team, let's get started with today's show.
Hi. Hello, everybody. I thought today I'll invite David Byrne on to the show. Recently, we've been focusing on about how to get started. So at the beginning of the month, we had Rochelle Sterling from Race Chicks Motorsports, and she was talking about females getting involved in motorsports, how to even get started to start competing. Last week, we spoke to Cameron Hill about getting started in Formula Ford. And today we have got David Byrne, who's going to give us a little bit of insight about getting started in Excel racing and off-road rally. Welcome, David.
Hey, Belinda. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks again for coming on and sharing all of your knowledge. You have been involved in motorsports for a long time. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, okay. So going back, I started way back in the mid-90s with motorsport. So rally's always been my passion. So I had some family connections that were racing at the time, and managed to get myself onto a Australian Rally Championship crew, and got the bug for motorsport through that association, and then that, as it tends to do, turned into actually competing myself. So built myself a rally car and went out into the forest and drove around and had a great time. That passion sort of led into a career in automotive. So I actually joined an automotive company at Ford, and worked through learning more about engineering of cars, and then that sort of migrated into actual race car engineering, where taking some of that knowledge of being a competitor, and then also what I'd learned through my automotive experience to apply it to the racetrack, and had some really good success with historic touring cars, and then that led into XLs and now TCR.
Fantastic. And so, how did the Hyundai XL series even come about? But I felt like for me, being from a karting background, it was there, but it was never there. And I really feel like over the last 2 or 3 years, it's just exploded into a fantastic series. So, have you been there from the start? Can you share a little bit more of an insight into how it got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the series itself started up in Queensland and South Australia almost at the same time back in 2013. And then as, people got word sort of down south around, the type of racing and the cost effectiveness of it, New South Wales started a series, and then that led into Victoria in around about 2015. While people might think it's exploded, it was really a progression, I think, from 2013 to 2015, 16. where as more and more people got involved, we saw the competitors and the fields grow to, seeing, full grids at Phillip Island, 55 cars and, quite a lot of buzz around, around that category.
And why do you think this Hyundai Excel series has had such great success? What is it about this series that people seem to love?
Yeah, I think accessibility would be my my go-to. So, if you look at who the category attracts, we've got people that are been out of motorsport and wanting to come back in, but perhaps couldn't afford it with family commitments and other things. So, there's quite a big contingent of people that are there for really the fun and the social elements of racing. You've also got people that are looking for a pathway. So, as you come out of karts and looking for, where's the next step on the ladder, quite a few competitors who are, looking for a more cost-effective route into circuit racing. They're priced out of Formula Ford or, Formula V. And so, looking at Excels as a cheap alternative to, continue with their careers. And then there's, other people who are, quite, I'll say quite competitive, and really wanting to go out there and give it their all, and perhaps have been in the category for for quite a long duration and no plans to move beyond that, but really enjoy their racing and trying to make a little Excel go as fast and as far as it possibly can.
I think you just touched on a great point there about being the cost. Can you talk us around the cost about racing in Excel?
Yeah, so, as far as the cars go, so, you can purchase a reasonably competitive car for, circa $15,000 to $20,000. There's better cars that are starting to get beyond that now.
Wow.
Cheaper cars that are below that. I think, in terms of everyone, talks about the cost both on the, the cheap side and also, how far, some people do go with how much they spend on the cars. But I think ultimately, for people that want to run up the front of the field, the cost is going to be, around the same dollar amount. It's just really the duration of, how quickly you spend that money, because some people spend it up front and do a lot of development and run up the front with a larger budget. Other people, it just takes longer to get there, so they'll buy the car and then progressively upgrade things over a longer period of time, but everyone sort of ends up around the same point over time.
Yeah, and so you've started your own, I guess, franchise, being Excel Racing Australia. Why did you feel the need to make the team, and tell us a little bit about the team?
Yeah, well, we kind of fell into it a little bit. So, it started out as, a group of friends racing back in 2016, and then, as we got more competitive ourselves, people kind of started to ask questions. What do I do with my car, or how can I make my car go faster? And over time, we really built up a collective of like-minded people that were all wanting to race or wanting to improve their driving, improve their cars, and by the time we'd finished, we had quite I'll say a formidable team with we had an engine builder and a gearbox builder, myself with a lot of chassis engineering experience, some pretty talented driving drivers within the team as well. And so, when you looked at, the group that we put together, there's a little bit of everything, but I think the core was everybody was helping each other out, and, the real objective was to try and, push the whole team forward and get success. And, I think we've done a pretty good job of that.
And do you think there's advantages of belonging to a team when you're first starting out?
Absolutely, and whether you're involved in a team or whether you're just sort of going to the racetrack and sort of hanging out with people that you like hanging out with, the social element of motor racing is a really important important part of it. So there's quite a bit of time between races, and hanging out in the pits and talking to people that you enjoy hanging around with is quite a big part of what motorsport, the enjoyment you get out of motorsport. So. For me and for anyone else who's starting, the first thing is, go to the track and talk to different people and, pit together and, guarantee that, as you sort of start to talk to different people, you'll get different opinions. Everyone's quite helpful. They'll, try and guide you in the right direction. And, over time, you tend to start hanging out with the same people, as relationships form. And then, that's ultimately where a lot of the people I see in the Excel community tend to kind of bond together in little groups and little teams, just through the social interactions and the relationships that are formed.
Yeah, and at the moment, there's no national series, is there?
No, there's not. There's a one-off nationals that happens once a year, where the best of the best from each of the states get together. And there's also some marquee events, things like Bathurst and some of the other supercar rounds where we see a lot of interstate competition. But unfortunately, to date, we haven't seen a national series formed and off the ground. So perhaps a future development for the category.
Watch this space. Definitely, like as you said, the entries and the involvement within the categories across Australia have been increasing over the last couple of years. How old does one have to be to start racing in XLs?
Yeah, so XLs are one of a couple of categories with the licence graduations that Motorsport Australia use. So at 14 years old, you can get yourself a provisional circuit licence, and XLs are one of 3 categories, the other 2 being Formula V and Formula Ford, that you're able to race as a 14-year-old. The advantage of moving into an XL obviously it's a sedan-based class, so a lot of people want to go to sedan-based categories, and so jumping into an XL teaches you things like changing gears and suspension setup and some of those fundamentals that are unique to some of the sedan-based categories.
And within a series, how many rounds? So is it per state series? Is it normally like 5 or 6 the same?
Yeah, it varies. Usually 5 or 6 is a good series. As low as 4. I've seen as much as 6, so it varies a little bit.
4's not a lot. We need at least 6.
Oh, you think 5 or 6? 5 or 6 makes for a good championship, yeah.
And so, if someone's wanting to get started in XL racing, what's the first step? What do they need to do?
Yeah, I think the best way to do it, if unless you've got a serious amount of car knowledge and can build a car or have built cars in the past, I think the best thing to do is to look for a known good quality second-hand XL race car. So you'll find that most of those cars have they've been sorted out. They've had the bugs ironed out. People have invested enough time and effort to make a good thing that you can just jump in and start to drive. So the first bit of advice would be find a good quality car and just get out there and start testing, start driving, get involved, because it's a really good way to put a toe in the water without investing too much time or effort. And then beyond that, as you get faster and want to develop further, the opportunities to either, look to upgrade that car or potentially even, sell and then build a new car that perhaps has got some of the experience and the learnings that, things that you liked or didn't like in the previous car, you can then incorporate into your the new build.
Yes, well, I definitely love the XL racing. Nationally now watching it, they're getting more and more publicity. Having the one-off events with the supercars have definitely helped, I think, the categories within themselves. But I think that the quality of driving and the safety of the vehicles, really back to basic motorsports, it's great to see so many people getting involved.
Yeah, and so it's a great group of people as well. Like you'll find there's, everyone's friendly and approachable, and it's a really good collective of competitors to kick off your motorsport journey with. Yeah,
I definitely see there's a lot more girls or females competing in the XLs, which is great to see.
Absolutely.
Now, Dave, you did mention about off-road racing. I have no idea about it, so I'm going to now ask you a few questions about that. How did you get started? I know you're saying like with your brothers and stuff, friends and that, but like, where do you buy a vehicle that's worthy to go off-road? Tell us a little bit about off-road racing.
Yeah, well, I guess rallying is my, I'll say my first love of competitive motorsport. So I actually have 2 rally cars. I've got an historic rally car and also an XL rally car that we rally in the Victorian State Championship. So very similar to what you see with the XL circuit racing. The XL Rally Series is got quite a few competitors. It's a one-make series, so you have not quite as many as you do in the circuit series, but there's certainly a lot of strong competition within that team. So and similar accessibility, and doesn't break the bank to go rallying. And then using an XL, some different things with front wheel drive on dirt that I'm finding out. So it's a good learning category and a good way to start a career in whatever the discipline is. But XLs can do racing or rallying.
Wow, that would be so much fun.
Yeah, scares the navigator on occasion, but scares the driver as well.
Yeah, it's closely compacted with each other within that car.
Absolutely.
And so again, is that like a national series? Is it more state-based? How many rounds do they have? What's the kind of cost involved with road racing? Rally racing.
Yeah, it's similar to circuit racing. So it's state-based series. Entry costs and everything are pretty comparable. So you're talking $600-ish as entry type fees, and then a little bit more preparation required with the rally series. Just you've got an extra seat with some of the navigation gear and intercoms and things that you need. But generally speaking, I think the costs for a rally versus race are pretty comparable.
And how do you get started? Like, do you just go to Motorsports Australia and look for a club? Again, no idea.
Yeah, same. It's very, very similar. So for rally, it's actually a little bit older. So while circuit racing, you can start driving at the age of 14.
Yeah.
For rally, because it's a road-based discipline, and perhaps a little more complex in its nature, you can start navigating at the age of 14, but you have to be 16 and on your learners before you can take to the driver's seat, and then only with a licensed adult sitting next to you in the navigator seat.
So, like, where in Victoria do you do that? Where are your tracks?
So a couple of different areas, but up in the Murrindindies, Talangi, out Gippsland Way, sort of Powelltown, up to Ballarat and Golden Triangle, and sort of Ararat around those areas. So it's a pretty diverse range of places that we go, all different, very different road conditions, very different sort of forest layout. So it's quite a good variety of like you do with circuit racing, different tracks, and like railings, different forests and different road conditions.
Now, Dave, have you had a crash?
I've had a couple. So coming to terms with front wheel drive in a rally car, let's say I like pushing the limits. So we occasionally step over them. So I'll say I've got to learn the balance between speed and making sure I get the car to the finish. So I've got the speed. I just needed perhaps a little bit more get the car to the finish.
Another thing that you enjoy about motorsports, is sponsorship. Do you find that sponsorship is different between the two categories, between the off-road and the circuit base, or what's your opinion around that?
A little bit of a different market. You tend to find, my experience with sponsorship and attaining and retaining sponsors has been, you've got to be able to provide value to the sponsor. So circuit racing, you've got a lot of things working for you in terms of accessibility to. You've got crowds, you've got, everything's in one place. You've got, the ability to set up displays and, promote sponsors at the track. Because rally is more of a, remote sport. So, we're off in the forest and racing around, and, as far as spectators and being able to see the vehicles, you're always at a disadvantage where, a lot of the time you don't get the exposure that you would through, say circuit racing. So then you've got to look at, okay, well, how can I promote my sponsors, and how can I, support them and give them visibility, in perhaps some different ways. So, things like the social media and, doing a little bit more on those, create the visibility rather than just rely on the the fact that people can see the car.
Well, I'm going to pull on those notes because over in our Motorsport Sponsorship Facebook group, I'm currently just doing a survey around about what category do you race, and then we're going to look into it, seeing how more specific activities, activations, who kind of sponsors them and around the difference within the categories. Because it's one thing to say people need sponsorship, but it's different if you're starting to compete in those smaller, little niches within motorsport. So thank you for that insight. It's definitely helped me. So do you have a preference? Oh, I think you mentioned it before. Your favourite is
always. It's always. As a competitor, I'll say as a competitor, rallying is my, as I said, my first love. And the reason for that, I find it, the combination of, different road conditions, a lot more variables at play. So you've got, a bit of teamwork with the navigator. You've got, changing road conditions. You've never seen the same corner twice. It's quite a challenging discipline, and one to be adept at. There's a lot of things that have got to go right for you. The circuit racing, I like. Sure, I like driving cars on tarmac and racing around the racetracks, but the challenge for me is more the engineering. So that's about optimizing the car, optimizing the driver, getting the same lap time every lap, and then making the car as fast as you can possibly make it. So some two very different challenges, but I enjoy each of them, but for different reasons.
Fantastic. Well, Dave, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate giving some insight into how to get started with XL racing and rally racing. Bit of a bonus for you. Of course, you're happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything. And how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way is either via Facebook. So XL Racing Australia is our Facebook page. So jump on that and give it a like and send us through a message if there's anything we can help with, or via email. So david@xlracing.com.au is my email address.
Dave, thank you again. Do you have any parting words for those just wanting to get started in general with motorsports? Budget.
No, look, I think just give it a go. Like you can try. I've seen many people do this many different ways. Some people try and build a car over a long period of time and never get it out on the track. My advice would be, just do whatever you need to do to get out and start competing, because the longer you leave it, the harder it gets. So get out there, do it, get involved, and it's an awesome sport to be involved in. So good luck to all our prospective competitors.
Thank you very much, Dave. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, Belinda.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, Alex Gardner here, go-kart racer from Queensland. I've been with MotiV8 for about a year now, and I've definitely benefited from her and her crew. Nutrition, social media, sponsorship, and exercise is what she helps me with. She also does mental strength as well. I'm looking forward to my journey ahead with MotiV8 Training.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to this week's show. I really hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. Now, remember, all the show notes with the links and the specials mentioned in today's show are available over at motivatetraining.com.au. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you could head to iTunes or Stitcher, type in Motorsport Coaching, subscribe, and leave us a review. Each week, I'll read them out and you'll go into monthly draw to win a fantastic prize. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at motivatetraining.com.au or head over to our Facebook page at Motivate Until next time, take care.